Gouki's back again, and we also have Mermail for you guys as well, for those of you that support the old water combo toolbox. Don't be like the 33.8% of you guys have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can get to 102,000. First list we're going to be looking at here is a Gouki combo list that ended up getting first place. Now, I'm always very intrigued to see how Gouki will kind of handle and adapt into future situations. It kind of really depends on how the meta goes for how this deck will find success, but that's nothing really strange, right? Like, we always know that Gouki is a competitive deck. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, one copy of the Blue Mountain Butterspy, one copy of Codebreaker Zero Day, one Celestial with one Dasher. We have one copy of Drone Lockbird, one copy of Effect Veiler, one copy of the Fireflint Lady. We have two copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, one copy of Gouki Guts, two copies of Headbat, one Octo Stretch, one Scorpio, triple copies of Suprex, two copies of Twist Cobra, one copy of Junk Forward, triple copies of the Neospace Connector, one Aqualad, one Nibiru, one Red Layer, one copy of Ancient Cloak, one Silent Boots, one Durandal, one Call by the Grave, triple copies of Crossout Designator, the one Phoenix Blade, one copy of Fusion Destiny, two copies of Gouki Rematch, one Living Fossil, one Magical Midfield Breaker, one Rhoda, with one Imperm, one copy of Fog Blade, and one copy of Shade Brigadane here, wrapping up a pretty interesting main deck. I am very happy to see that Crossout Designator is seeing some love for a deck like this, but it's still very interesting to see like how your combo goes. So we have one Rusty Tin Can down here, one Verte Anaconda, one Link Karibo, one Link Spider, one Unicorn, one Phoenix, two copies of Isolde, one copy of Virus Swordsman, one copy of Virus Berserker. Isn't it cool that you just have the potential to make a free Link 3 in this deck just for simple antics for climbing up and deck thinning? I think that that's honestly pretty freaking cool. We have one Apollosa, one Access Code, one Abyss Dweller, and we have one Dragoon and one Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Actually, you'll be able to rotate your packages here based on how you're playing, and I think that that's pretty important to take note of here. We also have two Lancia, one copy of Nibiru, one Dark Magician with one Red Eyes Black Dragon, triple copies of Dark Will No More, one Red Eyes Fusion, triple copies of Twin Twisters, and triple copies of Evenly Matched here, wrapping up whichever side of the toolbox you want to go on. You know, I think post-siding, depending on what you want to do, your matchup, I definitely think that Gouki, once again, if this deck is uninterrupted, will explode very, very well onto the scene, but in other matchups, it can kind of fall short of what we would deem a highly functioning deck. Next up here is Mermails. This was Mika West, 4th place finish out of a regional, actually. So what does Water Combo do? Well, Water Combo does what Water Combo does best. It wants to make big boards and rip cards from your opponent's hand. Water Toolbox has just been pretty much simply that. This deck, I would say, is very much in the tier 2.5 category, but if you're a good enough player and you can pull this deck off, you'll have no problem finding success. It's just you need some pretty optimal hands to get places. So we have triple copies of Atlantean Dragoons, two copies of Heavy Infantry, one Marksman, triple copies of Deep Sea Diva, gotta love them one-card starters. We have two copies of Minstrel, look at my opponent's hand, take Hand Trap. We have one Fishborg Launcher, one copy of Lapis Dragon, one Abyss Skund, and then we have two copies of Abyss Megalo, one Abyss Spike, and we have triple copies of Abyss Stus, one copy of Mullen Glacia, the Elemental Lord. We have triple copies of Neptibus, and one copy of Rodentoden. Then we have triple copies of Swap Frog here, wrapping up the main deck. Down here in the extra air spells, we have one Abyss Scale, one copy Called by the Grave, triple copies of Deep Sea Aria, one copy of Monster Reborn, two copies of Moria Greed. Gotta fix those really bricky hands, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, you can see some of the most awful hands while playing this deck, and this gives you that sculpting fix that you need. We also have one for one and triple copies of Pot of Avarice here. You should be able to sift through these so quickly. Alright. We also have one Underworld Closed Goddess down here, one Abyss Lacia, one IP Mascarena, one Hauki Fibrax, the one Ashima, then we have one Solid Soldier, one Apollosa, two copies of Totally Awesome, one Abyss Gaios, one Bahamut Shark, then we have one Abyssor, then we have one Trishula, one Desert Locust, and one Dragite. Side deck here, we actually have two copies of the Barrier Statue of the Torrent, two copies of Droll and Lockbird, triple copies of Gameciel, one Kumamungus, one Feather Duster, two Interrupted Kaijus, then we have one Raigeki, and triple copies of Twin Twisters here. Wrapping up, once again, more toolboxing options. The more explosiveness I think the combo is, the scarier that some of the matchups really can end up being for this deck. But hey, it worked. Next up here is a DDD. This was out of Sneak Peek weekend here and got first place. And if you're not prepared for what DDDs can do through their their giant ceilings here, then you're just going to lose to this deck. All right. And I do think, honestly, going forward here, that a crazy powerhouse like this existing in the meta to kind of tear through players can be a very scary experience for a lot of people. I mean, you play against DDD, you don't know one choke point, you're dead. Like, it's as easy as that, ladies and gentlemen. So we have one Baphomet, one copy of Cerberus, one copy of Ghost, triple copies of Griffin, two copies of Lamia, two copies of Necroslime, two copies of Orthros, triple copies of Savant Copernicus, triple copies of Savant Kepler, one Thomas the Tank Engine. We have triple copies of Little Swirl Slime, one copy of DD Vice Typhoon, one Abyss Ragnarok, and one copy of Divine King Zero Rage. Then we have triple Allure Darkness for Turbo Draw Power, one Call by the Grave, triple copies with the Dark Contract, one Dark Contract with the Swamp King, two Droplets for Board Breaking, one patented Dark Contract Documents, so you can basically mess with your opponent via field spell, one Headhunt to steal the opponent's monster, and we have triple copies of Infinite Permanence here, giving you more options to kind of round out your hand trap lineup. Down here in the next deck, we have triple Abyss King Gilgamesh, one Zeus, one copy of Wave King Kaiser, one super big Wave King Kaiser, one Marksman Tell, then we have one Tu Machina, one copy of the Cursed Siegfried, one Baron de Fleur, one D'Arc, two copies of Genghis, and one copy of the Super Flame King Genghis here. Side deck here we have triple Denko Rekka, triple copies of Lava Golem, triple copies of Sphere Mode, triple copies of Dark Roll No More, one Harpy's Feather Duster, one Lightning Storm, and one copy of Red Reboot here, wrapping up a very nice first place finish for DDD. As I said, I think that this deck has a pretty cool high ceiling for what it wants to do, and if players aren't prepared for this, they're just going to lose, ladies and gentlemen. It's as simple as that. And the last list I have for you guys here is Eldritch. Yay! I love just basically 30 trap cards in the deck. This particular build is only playing 28 of them good things, but that's perfectly fine. So we have one copy of Ecclesia, one copy of Fleur de Lis the Knighted, only two copies of the Golden Lord, and we have triple copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. And then, of course, we have one Black Awakening for starters, two copies of Nadir Servant, one Duality, and triple copies Spot of Extravagance. Yeah, this feels pretty good. We have triple copies of Conk, two copies of D-Barrier built in, triple copies of Punishment, triple copies of Scarlet Zanguine, two Hugwero, two Ice Dragons Prisons, triple Skill Drain, triple copies of Solemn's T-Reich, triple copies of There Can Only Be One, triple copies of Torrential Tribute, and one copy of Trap Trick here, wrapping up the main deck. Down here in the next deck, we have one Frigette, two Link Spiders, one Soldier of Chaos, one Juggernaut Libby, two Gustav Max, one Zeus, one Polites, one copy of the Wind Pegasus with one Omega. Then we have one Titanclad and triple copies of an Intis. Side deck here we have one Maximus, triple copies of Inspector Border, triple copies of Lava Golem, triple copies of Evenly Matched, two copies of Needle Ceiling, and triple copies of Solemn Judgment here, wrapping up this chunk of deck profiles for you guys. And honestly, I love the excitement in the air for this format. There's so many cool decks that you can pick up. You can really just find success with about anything, at least in a tier 2 up. But those little pesky Phantom Knights up there just stirring around in the old tier 1 up there, just giving you a really hard time. Yeah, I know. It's a rough time for, like, absolute tier 1, but this is where we're at right now. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. And I'll see your beautiful faces back here later and do some more cool awesome content. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.